To most, I am known simply as
Renfield's boss.
Universal Studios had high hopes for their Dark Universe franchise, which aimed to revive their classic monsters for a modern audience. However, their first two attempts, Dracula Untold and The Mummy, failed to achieve critical or financial success. It seemed that the Dark Universe was dead on arrival, but now Universal is starting again with a fresh idea from Robert Kirkman, the man behind AMC's juggernaut The Walking Dead and Amazon Prime's Invincible.
Maybe this time you'll learn.
But can Kirkman start a new universe, or will this be another misstep?
The whole movie is balancing on a razor's edge of having the stakes be real and having the action be real and also being funny.
Well, with Renfield, the latest entry in the Dracula mythos, is a standalone film that focuses on Dracula's lackey, Renfield, played by Nicolas Hoult. Renfield is fed up with doing all of Dracula's dirty work, like finding people for him to eat, covering up all these murders. It's getting to modern day now, and things are getting slightly tough for him. All this technology that's floating about, they also use that to a good advantage in this film. Before I continue down the review of Renfield, let me just take you back to the future with some vampire films. I'm going to try and make this as brief as possible. Now, vampire films have been a staple in horror cinema for over a century.
I'm warning you to drive the limo and shut your fucking mouth. Shut up!
Hey man, you can't do that shit. I'm driving, B.
Shut the fuck up!
Shit, I'm driving.
God damn it!
The fuck, you give me a brain aneurysm or something? What the fuck was that?
Ever since Bram Stoker's novel Dracula was published in 1897, the character of Count Dracula quickly became iconic and was the inspiration for numerous films throughout the years. Dracula's popularity can be attributed to his search for love, his immortality, his fangs, his mysterious allure. But I mean, I like it when he turns into a bat personally. I also like the garlic references as well. Holy water, you know, all that stuff.
Garlic don't work, boys. I only want her death breath.
The first massively popular Dracula film was F.W. Murnau's silent film Nosferatu in 1922.
Let me tell you something. When you see that movie when you're 5 in black and white with him doing those crazy things with his eyes and his fingers, that leaves an indelible impression. It doesn't go away.
It was an unauthorized adaptation of Stoker's novel and was heavily inspired by German Expressionism. The film's unique style and haunting portrayal of Count Orlok, the film's version of Dracula, made it an instant classic. Christopher Lee's portrayal of Dracula in Hammer Horror's films of the, late 50s, 60s and 70s was also hugely influential. Then we get to the 1980s. And there was a resurgence of interest in vampires in cinema. Films like Fright Night and The Lost Boys brought a new hipper vibe to the genre. Even Nicolas Cage got in on the action with his outrageous performance in 1988's Vampire's Kiss. This era of vampire films was marked by a sense of fun, and it helped to cement the vampire as a pop culture icon.
This madness starts burning, the victim of a strange desire.
The 1990s saw a few attempts at serious big-budget vampire films like Interview with a Vampire and Bram Stoker's Dracula, and were well received critically. However, the 90s also saw the rise of the cool vampire, exemplified by Wesley Snipes' Blade. These films were gritty and dark, and they appealed to the new generation of horror fans. In the 2000s, there were fewer notable vampire films. Queen of the Damned attempted to carry the torch. Unfortunately, it failed, although it's one of my personal favourites. However, the 2000s also saw the release of the beloved animated comedy Hotel Transylvania, which presented a more lovable side of Dracula. Also, there was a failed remake of Fright Night. I mean, it wasn't great, the 2000s. We got Dracula Untold. Yeah, it wasn't great. Now, in the woke years of 2023, we have Renfield, which deals with toxic relationships, and Dracula not discriminating on what gender he kills. Actors-wise, I'm gonna start with Nicolas Cage, whose portrayal of Dracula is both funny and menacing. Cage has taken inspiration from various sources, but his performance in Renfield is quite reminiscent of his work in Vampire's Kiss. One thing that stood out for me was how much makeup this guy had to put on, especially when Dracula is rotting. Have a look at this from behind the scenes. I mean, it's hours of work to make the practical effects look pristine. I heard that Cage got a dentist to file his teeth down so he could wear the Dracula fangs, which, to be fair, he puts a lot of emphasis on in this film, and why not? They look incredible. Nicolas Hoult is reunited with Nicolas Cage.
We made a movie when I was 14. I played his son in a movie called The Weatherman, which is a movie that I'm really proud of and I think stands the test of time.
Yeah, and this film explores the relationship between the two characters and Renfield's desire for independence. The chemistry between Nicolas Hoult and Nicolas Cage is electric.
It's an R-rated fantasy, but it's hilarious, and that's a balance that you have to find. And thankfully, Nick is someone who has tremendous wit and comic timing, so we were able to riff off of each other. I was always thinking about that.
What I like is the way Renfield is getting treated by Dracula. At first you're laughing because of the funny banter between them, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in for a shock by the deplorable things Dracula does to Renfield. And you can sense that Holt's character has suffered long enough, so he goes to seek help and refuge elsewhere.
But if you were to stop focusing on his needs, what would happen? Yeah, what would happen? Stop focusing on his needs, what would happen?
He won't grow to full power.
Exactly. He won't grow to full power. What? That's so weird. Why would you phrase it like that? But yes, he's right.
Nicolas Hoult also gets to show off his action chops, definitely pulling off more here than he did in Mad Max Fury Road.
I've never punched a head off before, and I got to do that on this, so that was, one thing off the bucket list.
Yes, you did, Nicholas, and it looked glorious. And my days, does the violence look glorious. Have a look at this, baby. Oi, oi, oi. That's what I'm talking about. Nicolas Hoult's performance as Renfield was solid enough. He generally plays the same type of role, though.
You know when something crazy happens and someone's like, it's okay, I've seen way worse. Everything I saw you do today is gonna be my way worse.
It's my least favourite part of the job.
I don't know, for me, he just doesn't really cut it as a leading man. If you're expecting a Nicolas Cage film here, then you're sorely mistaken. He's on the back burner and plays second fiddle to Hoult, which was a refreshing idea, but Universal won't sell tickets when it isn't Cameron Poe himself hamming it up on screen for 90 minutes. But that's not to say that Nicolas Hoult doesn't do a good job. He is capable, but he only fits a small demographic. Director Chris McKay does a decent job of balancing horror and comedy in Renfield. However, its blend of both really impressed me when it came to the action scenes. And within them, it's the practical effects for the gore that were just a standout. The people involved in the makeup and practical effects deserve some kind of award for it.
You know, I've come off a lot of movies where we work a lot with like green screen and things like that. But then on this one, you literally just see decapitated arms. Just like, there's like, bring in the arms, and there's like arms on a tray. So it's like the things that you think would maybe be green screen or special effects are just practical. And you know, this is a vampire film. So if you don't have violence and blood and gore, then what do you have? I'm looking at you, Jared. One of the film's letdowns are its sentimental scenes with Awkwafina, who plays her usual typecast character. The film could have benefited from a stronger female character. Another actor who impressed me was Ben Swartz, who looked like he was in his element. His character is foul-mouthed and hilarious.
Let's do a fucking Dracula movie. Let's have blood squirting out of everybody. Let's have people chopped in half. Let's have people getting superpowers and punching and exploding human beings and guts and gore and comedy and like not holding back on jokes. If it's a joke that's fucking R-rated, we do it and we hit it hard.
Ben's performance is a standout and adds to the film's overall comedic tone.
So what is he, like your roommate?
He's my servant.
Doesn't seem to be serving you very well.
Renfield is a fun and very pacey film that doesn't let up until its sentimental scenes, which... While them scenes let the film's intrigue dissipate slightly, Nicolas Cage's performance as Dracula should be praised for its humour and menace. While the studio's intention was for a standalone film, one can't help but wonder why they wouldn't want a full-blown Count Dracula movie.
I am Dracula.
Okay, obviously we're dealing with a little bit more than just narcissism here.